Okay. Avram Davidson Universe with Bob from Wheel of Genre and Virgil from.
Literally books. I'm getting it right. I'm getting better at this.
Well, I always give it to you differently every time, but you do it right correctly
I
every
know.
time too. I just like to lie and say that it's been many takes, but it's only one.
You can start saying
Oh,
you're from Literally Books and I'm from Wheel of Genre. People will just be
I like
confused.
it.
Or maybe they wouldn't.
I'm from
Maybe they can't tell us
literally
apart.
genre and Wheel of Books.
Literally Genre. Wheel of Books.
And Wheel of
Wheel of
Books.
Books is
Wheel of
good.
Kind of feels like you're just getting hit in the
All
face
my
with
bookshelves
books
are
that I'm giving.
wheels.
Yeah. My bike doesn't move so good. We're reading Bloody Man.
It's made of books.
It's made of books. Book bike.
Soylent
It's my
Bike
book
is
bike.
books.
Soylent Bike is books, yes. Those books.
Sorry.
Poor books.
Deviation.
It's a good deviation. Okay, we are reading Bloody Man Part 2, and we're reading the Lime Killer series. It's been called the best series by Avram Davidson, by Lucius Shepard. He said it's the most generous, the most interesting, the most style, like most Avram-like style. So it's like Avram at his best, he says. And so Virgil and I have done the introduction. We've done Part 1, and now this is Part 2. In Part 1, hopefully you watched Part 1 before this, but Part 1 we were saying we're getting
you really should.
You should. I was gonna be lost. We're
It would be a weird
now,
thing to come into the story at the end.
Why not? You read from the back to the front. We're now into a
You're encouraging
spiral
bad
where
behavior.
that's fine, where we're getting very, very supernatural. And so Virgil and I are thinking, okay, we've been promised anyway, of this idea of the jack-o'-lantern. What is the jack-o'-lantern? We know people are afraid. We know people are superstitious. We know people are embarrassed about that superstition, which really shows you, okay, this is real superstition. If you're embarrassed about your superstition, you're taking it pretty seriously. So what is going to go on here, Virgil? We have Lime Killer, who is now going to, it sounds like they're going to go off on a journey pretty soon, to get in their boats pretty soon, because we know something dangerous is happening. But what's going to be happening with this jack-o'-lantern?
So initially in this sort of second half, we see Jack go to get these building materials, and he's trying to get assistance to run his boat because he is afraid of heights and he doesn't want to climb the top mast of his ship. So he needs somebody.
He's no crow.
He needs to hire somebody to do that, but he can't really get anybody to do it. And it's a lot of like essentially people were just sort of like, he's asking, people are ignoring him or getting upset with him. So he does get his supplies. I think he has to go by himself. I'm pretty sure he goes by himself. I'm trying to remember this. He does. And he sees at night this other, I think he sees at night or there's this during the day. I think this fog comes in. He sees during the day this other figure. And it's very ghostly. It's like, it's not unexpected because of how it is. And he sees this figure and he sort of like starts describing him, and he's like, oh, he's tanned, but his chest is very pale because it's someone who would, like a European who would normally not have sun on their chest, right? They're very, they're not sun. They have tan lines.
Farmer's tan.
Farmer's tan. I guess that's what we would say. And he sees this, and he has this and he struggles with what he sees for a little while, and then suddenly it's gone. And he's sort of like not really certain what he saw or what just happened.
What a great spooky scene too. He's in his boat and he's noticing that the mist is gathering very fast, and he says, okay, this is a little disconcerting. It's hot weather. Why is the mist suddenly coming? But then he notices too, the mist is going in the opposite direction of the wind. It's going against the wind, and it's going against the current, and it's like approaching him and going to surround him. And then that's when he sees the figure. When mist is coming at you with no real reason, that's pretty scary.
It's a little unnerving.
It's a little unnerving. And so once he gets back, I think he has what he believes is a bout of malaria. So he gets into this really feverish state. I think he actually is getting chills. So he feels really uncomfortable. It's not just like a hallucination. It's like a full body terror. So he says, I think I'm having malaria. What's going on? He then looks down on the water. A little bit of time has passed since the first vision. And then he sees someone far down in the water. They're drowned and they're sinking further and further, and they have this huge wound in their side. So he says, "Okay, is it normal?" He's like locking eyes with this dead person in the water. He says, "Is it normal for a dead person to change its expression? Is it normal
Yeah.
for a dead person to like open its eyes even wider and look at you? Is it normal for a drowned person to suddenly start bleeding out from their side?" And then the vision goes away. He gets over what he thought was malaria, and he figures out, okay, I really need to start figuring out what is this person in the water.
Mhm. And I don't remember if it's at this point or earlier that we get this description of this figure having
Oh yeah,
like separation in their limbs,
yeah.
right? Like there's all these like they I don't know if they are coming apart or if it's just he's seeing like where they've been cut. Like all these cuts all across their body. And and I don't remember when that description happens, but
You're right. It's early. It's
it's
much
there.
earlier. Yeah.
It's there, and it's very disturbing. Um, and I think this is when he starts to sort of put together that this is the bloody man
The
that
bloody
he's been
man.
sort of hearing a little bit about, but not really knowing what that means. And then he sort of yeah, and like you say, he thinks he has a bout of malaria, but then he sort of realizes that this is like the way you would feel when when you encounter a ghostly apparition, right?
Mm.
This like sudden cold, and these chills, and I think he even feels maybe a little sick. It
Mm.
definitely feels scared because he's not really sure. Like used to a normal mundane world, and then all of a sudden he has this like very intense encounter with the supernatural that comes and goes in the middle of the day.
Pretty frightening. I would be
Yeah.
afraid. Yeah, you're right. The description is really great earlier when I can't, he's got a bunch of buddies, people he's working for, people he's working with, people are working for him, but he gets into a conversation where someone says, "I've seen this kind of thing before. I've seen something really terrible in when I've been working out in the water. I saw like all of these bloody pieces that looked like pieces of a body that came together and formed a
Mm.
man, slowly came into one shape and formed a man. And then you did see all of the scars and all of the cuts, but it's like these pieces drifting in, kind of like the mist drifts in to come back and shape someone.
Mhm.
When he starts asking people and saying what he saw, people get uncomfortable again. And then he says, okay, so I wonder, it's the jack-o'-lantern. It must be the lantern of the ship. So like a ship, and you just see the light, and you don't know where the ship is. And he says, "Okay, maybe if it's that, the ship doesn't come in. It's the haunted ship. Is it like Saint Elmo's fire? Is it the Will o' the Wisp?" And then he gets
Right.
closer. Okay, he says, "No, no, no. Think about the name. Think about the name." He says, "Okay, jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, Jacques Hollander, Jacques Hollander." He says, "Oh my God, it's the Flying Dutchman, the Hollander."
Right.
So he he decides that it must be the Flying Dutchman, the classic idea of someone cursed to be piloting their ship forever and ever and ever, never able to touch ground again. The classic kind of ghost of pirates.
Right. Yeah. So, and again, it's another great example of this sort of like all these different sort of weird little superstitions and beliefs sort of getting like pulled in and weaving together and connecting to each other. And it's great how you get this sort of conclusion that he comes to that, which is in a way the sort of way that we would sort of make a connection like that. Like, what does it mean?
Mm,
Maybe it means this, almost conspiracy theorist sort of stuff in a sense, but then not really since he just had an encounter. But I like how he puts this stuff together, how he sort of thinks, "Oh, okay." And then he's like
mm.
so he's sort of doing this almost detective work in his head, um, if nothing else for self-preservation because he's been haunted twice now, and he's not really sure why.
Yeah, it's true. Why is he being picked on, poor guy? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
what
like
did I do?
the Columber. What did I do? Um, I really like so this is very Avram. It feels a lot like the one that I thought was a Lime Killer story. The boy and all of his
Oh,
brothers.
El Vilvoy?
El Vilvoy, that's right. It feels a lot like El
Mm,
Vilvoy, where we have this idea of this is definitely the lore. This is definitely the story. Someone else contradicts it and says, no, this is the legend. And they start to interweave and they start to change each other. And we get all of these layers that start to affect one another. And here
Mhm.
we have people saying, no, 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 it's not the Bloody Man, it's Captain Blood. It's not the Flying Dutchman, it's the Bloody Man, it's Captain Blood. And then finally, one of his friends is like, okay, no, it's stop on this idea with with the Flying Dutchman. It's similar, kind of, but this guy uh, refused to believe in God or refused to listen to God. He says that he is damned, and he's damned because the Bloody Man it says he wanted all eternity, and so he would refuse to listen to God as the creator, I guess. And so he says that, let's see, what does he say? He believed that he was more important than God, and so when he could have been Oh yeah, yeah. And then so God comes up and says, "I'm the one who created the seas. I'm the one who created this." It's kind of like the book of Job when God comes down and says, like, "Look, I did all of these things. Who are you to judge me?" But this guy, the bloody man, refused any of that, and so has been suffering, has been damned eternally, and will not be um, rescued, I guess, until someone intervenes. So right now, according to these guys, he's just traveling out there for centuries, suffering, bleeding, drowning every day because he refused to listen, I guess.
I I don't know if it's here or later where we get some information where someone says, "Oh, you know, Captain Blood or something." Um, he he presented himself as a divinity to these people saw him and they viewed him as a divinity. These sort of native people
Hmm.
did, and he played along with that. He played into that energy. And because he did that, that's part of what has damned him. Because they're sort of like he's pretending to be a god to these people to get an advantage,
Hmm.
right? And that is part. And that he is it here that they say is it here? I think it's later that they say they talk about his about the wound that he has and how it's very Christ-like wound, right? Um, so this sort of piercing in the side like of a spear or something like that, and how there's some talk about that and how that wound um, was sort of like the fact that he had a wound sort of proved that, or he got injured in real life this way, proved that he wasn't a god in sort of way.
We're
And sort of that's how it was. Say it was his demise or something.
we're dancing very close to the final reveal there,
I
Virgil.
know.
So that final scene that you're talking about, it becomes a point of contention here because yes, someone tells him a story. Yeah, he refused to accept Christ, and so he has to imitate the wound of Christ for eternity, and that's what one person tells him. Of course, we eventually find
Yeah.
out that's kind of in the right direction, but not exactly true. But for
Right.
now, that's what we have going. But the Lime Killer's thinking, wait a minute, the wound of the spear when from the Roman soldier is not as big as what it looks like was happening to the bloody man. Because for the bloody man, it looks like his whole side is gone.
Yeah,
It's
he's got a
just
big
like
gaping hole or a bit
it's
large hole.
huge. Like his skin is missing. It's like that doesn't sound
Yeah.
right. I'm not sure if this is correct. But they decide, okay, one of the bishops, the archbishop who is retired, says, okay, I know what's going on here. We need to go out there together and we need to go rescue this person. And this is such an interesting scene. I feel like it could go in a totally different direction. And it was so captivating, this scene. They get in the boat. I believe it's Lime Killer, the local priest, the retired archbishop, and then their other buddy who's been telling him bits and pieces about the Bloody Man, I
You've
think.
got
Four of
see,
them
you've got
or three of them?
you've got the guy who's the local official, Sir Joshua,
Oh, he's
I
there
think is
too.
with
Okay.
them.
Okay.
I think there's the guy when Jack first has these encounters and he finds someone, a guy, I can't remember the guy's name. I think the guy who sort of like comforts Jack when he's like, I don't know
Yeah.
what I
Oh,
just,
such a good
yeah,
scene.
I think he's with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember that guy's name, but who's a great character also, who's sort of like Jack is like had this thing and he's like, it's okay. And and even
That
I
was so
think even
good.
the story says like it was a very brave thing for him to sit down next to him on the pier after this just happened. When this other guy believes in that stuff, he
Yeah.
said like, it's all right. I'm here to I'll hang out with you. Don't worry. And then our Archbishop, and the Archbishop needs them to go because he's old. He says, "I'm old. That's why I need. That's why I need you to go. I need you to go with me." Um, and he says this really cool quote that is a little confusing about how well, Jack's like, "Well, you'll be okay from this." thing that he's
Mm.
going to do, almost like an exorcism, almost, or something like
Mm-mm-mm.
some sort of like a spiritual banishment, from the church, is kind of what they're proposing to go do. And the archbishop says something interesting, like, let not the man who puts on his armor
Oh, yeah.
brag as someone who has taken it off, or something
Mm.
just like that.
Just
That was a
like, yeah.
really great quote.
Mm. I like it too. I found out his name, Harlow, the character that we both like a lot. Such a moving
Mhm.
character because, like you said, he puts his arm around Lime Killer after Lime Killer has like. I mean, that's really disconcerting. Like, am I hallucinating? Am I going to be killed soon because I've been cursed?
Right.
Everyone might just leave him, and he says, and I put his arm around him. So they get in the boat, like you said, they're going to go do communion. They're going to go and find him. Dis Not dispossessive. They're gonna, what's that called?
Like
Exorcise
an
him.
exorcism almost,
Yeah, I
sort
mean,
of.
it's sort of like that. So they're gonna give him communion and they're gonna try and save him. So they get in the boat, and while they travel out there, we get more of these kind of hallucinations, these supernatural things. We're not really sure what's going on, but more mist comes, more heebie-jeebies start happening. So they start to feel more uncomfortable. But then we get these other things too. While Jack is up steering, he's suddenly attacked by a pirate who like yells in his ear. He's got like ash in his beard, and he looks like he might be dead. He's like this weird kind of zombie-like thing. Um, Sir Joshua comes up and he says, "Oh, it's Teacher." We don't know who the heck this is, but this terrible kind of ghost-like person comes and haunts Jack, disappears suddenly. We also get one. I think I've got a quote here, Virgil, that I thought was just incredible. Oh yeah, so it says, Jack saw an enormous shark. This is right after the ghost is gone, and there's this lingering smell of sulfur. He says he sees this enormous shark. He had not realized that a shark could be so huge, had not believed such a shark would ever pass inside the reef. The shark was moving and moving faster than he would have allowed for any shark to move. In a moment, it must surely strike them. And then the archbishop then sends out. He basically is saying, banish Satan, and cease thy follies. And in this case, it is Leviathan coming up out of the water, and it's going to just destroy their ship. But it's Leviathan as like a trick of Satan. So as the
Yeah.
archbishop banishes it, it just disappears. So they're having these crazy hallucinations that are like evil welling up at them. I thought it was so. It's like genre, some of his writing, where you have these crazy sea creatures that come up, but they're from some other realm. That's what it feels like when Leviathan is about to crush them and is banished.
Mm. It's really great. It is. Um, it's very much like supernatural influence. I think when they first
Mm.
get in this area, there's all these like water spouts, like going,
Oh
like three
yeah,
water spouts that are sort of forming, and it's like, and there's sort of this gray green color, and you get this
yeah.
very eerie, like supernatural energy coming off of everything. It's really good. I just now thought when you were talking about
Mm.
that sort of ghost pirate, that I think Blackbeard used to stick
Oh.
like what did he put, like fuses or something like that, like cannon fuse or something in his beard and make it smoke. There was I remember there was some history about that, and not to say that this is Blackbeard, but that's sort of summoning similar energy. This sort of, although you could also say that maybe that's just the evidence that it's ghostly or something. But yeah, you definitely get the sense that these supernatural things are sort of trying to get them to stop from doing whatever they're going to do.
I think you're right. I think it must be Blackbeard because it says that there's smoke and ash in his beard, and then it says as he disappears, and they call him Teach. I don't know what the connection with Teach is, but they say that it
Oh,
stank of sulfur.
something Teach.
Yeah,
What was Blackbeard's real name? Something Teach?
I don't know.
Oh, I'd have to look at. I'm sorry. I'm not prepared for this part, but
You're
are
more
you gonna
prepared than
look
I am, evidently.
it up?
Blackbeard.
Teach, I think that might be
Uh,
Blackbeard's actual name. It's been too long.
oh, Virgil, you cracked the code. Edward Teach.
There it is.
Oh, nice
So it
job.
was Blackbeard, or at least the image of him.
Blackbeard. Okay, so interesting. So we have these three, those fountains, like they're like spiraling weird. That's really interesting. Then we get Blackbeard, and then we get Leviathan. It's interesting to have all of these kind of spooky things coming at them, as you said, trying to prevent them. They're trying to prevent them from even moving forward.
Right.
Um, it's interesting they're trying to protect this guy. When they finally get there, and this is the scene you mentioned earlier, where it's better to like remove your armor than it is to put on the armor. And that's because the archbishop is saying, no, I'm just going to bring the Bible and I'm just going to do communion. I'm not going to get scared. You guys are going to go with me and it's all going to be fine. And so when they get there and they finally see the bloody man, like in the water, he looks he's been really scary the whole time, but now I feel just terrible. Like
Hmm.
he says that the head was the man, it was a man, sorry, I need to learn English again. The man's body could be seen wavering in the water. The head was a man protruding just above the water. And you could say it's his face and throat are sun reddened and suntanned, as you mentioned earlier, but he's just there, and it looks like he's exhausted. Like his face is bloody. He can barely hold his head up. He just looks absolutely exhausted as he's floating in there. Oh,
Yeah. And it's great energy too, because I think the reason they decide to give communion is that the archbishop is like, he just needs, we need to give him forgiveness,
mm,
right? That he needs, this isn't like, it's not exactly as though they're exorcising a demon as so much as they're going to give him communion and
mm.
then like bring him back into the fold of God, or whatever, to sort of forgive him of these sins that he caused, because he wants forgiveness, or they think he would want forgiveness. See if he'll accept this forgiveness. And it's really great
Mm.
because um because is that what that they say the bloody man is searching for? He's searching for his soul or for forgiveness, or something like that. I think there's some earlier talk about that as well. Really great stuff, and it is very creepy because it's like he's right above the water. I think they say when they ask him a question, he nods his head, and like his chin dips into the water every time he nods. When they're asking him a question, and the bloody man is like nodding and everything. It's really good, creepy, like sympathetic, but sort of ghastly and ghostly imagery. It's great.
I loved it. Yeah, and they ask him, "Are you willing to accept this? Are you willing to do this?" And he dips down again. He gives the first part of it, and he says, do you declare yourself to be truly repentant?" And it says again and again, slowly, the head, face of a mask of pain, of agony. The head
Mm.
bowed itself to the brim of the sea. It's a great scene, very memorable scene where finally this guy, and I think you're right, he's trying to find forgiveness. They keep talking, and all of the lore, he has this chart, this map, and it's like the map is actually his way back into the fold, because they say it's a
Right.
treasure that he will never get. He's trying to get that forgiveness, and that's what his map, I think,
That's
is
right.
too. Yeah, yeah.
That's right. The
S-
treasure is like is to forgiveness or his soul back or something.
his
Yeah,
soul back. Oh, poor
it's
bloody
great.
man.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene, and I do like at the very end. I think the archbishop um, says like the Lord's Prayer or whatever, and
Mm.
and then at the very end, you get the only statement from the bloody man where he says "Amen." You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's,
and that's it. It's really good, and then the audiobook, it's really good and so kind of creepy because our narrator like changes his voice just a little bit in pitch to make you understand that's not the archbishop talking and saying
yeah.
"Amen." It's
It's
wonderful.
that bloody man floating in the water. So now I think we can get to that final reveal. You were hinting at it earlier, Virgil, where we have this Lime Killer has figured out, okay, if it's the spear wound, that doesn't seem quite right, because looking at him, that is a huge spear wound. There seems to be something more going on here. And so we get the whole backstory. It's finally revealed to us who it actually is. And he realizes, okay, someone had kept saying Polk or something like that. And I realized, wait a second. No, he's not saying Polk. He's saying Cook. This is Captain
Yeah,
Cook. And
this is
you were
Captain
right.
Cook.
It's Captain Cook. And so when Captain Cook first arrived, I guess people had the Hawaiians had this idea of a god that looked like Captain Cook. And so when he got there, he got all this special treatment. He said, "Oh, I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to be venerated and treated like a god." And then when someone, uh, it's unclear, but it's described here as like kind of intentionally just testing him. They used a spear to poke him in the side. And then once he flinched and groaned, they say he audibly groaned. Can you imagine that? A god feeling pain. And so immediately they knew, oh, this is all a lie. He is not a god at all. And so that's when they killed him, made the wound much bigger, and then ripped him apart. And so everyone
Mm-hmm.
took pieces of Captain Cook into different directions and eventually brought them back, except for one piece that, somebody got hungry
So
on the way back and just happened to eat
that's
that.
right, except for one piece, because this was not all the tribes, because some of the tribes in that area were still cannibalistic. And this is actually true. This is I mean,
Mm,
I don't know how perfect it is, but it really is true that the people of this area really did have that, like a cook's ship, and he sort of like looked like some sort of divine image for them, and something about his persona or his dress clued them in at first, and he did lots of terrible things, by the way.
mm,
But but yeah, at that final, when he was finally killed, he was chopped up and bits of his body were sent to various different people. And then at
mm.
some point there was some movement to try and recollect this stuff. And most of it came back, but one of the pieces that didn't come back was this piece of his side that had already been consumed. And they
Yeah, and
confirmed
hence
that
the
it was cooked because he had a tattoo on his
mm,
hand. He had a tattoo on his hand, and
whoa.
the hand that was returned still had the tattoo.
Oh, so it's creepy.
Isn't that
So
creepy?
eerie.
I did a little.
That's
I was like, I
creepy.
need to do just a little bit of research. Now it's hard to know if all the
Mm,
details are right here without. I mean,
mm,
from Wikipedia, without reading
mm,
a book. There's some great resources there that I should probably check out. Um, but um, but I would say that this is probably about as true as Avram could get it, but still being able to fictionalize it. So
mm.
it's pretty cool. It's a great sort of like roundabout way to get to that mystery. The Polk thing is a little bit of a red herring, a little bit of a trick on us. Like it's a little
Mm,
bit like, but I feel like also it's the other clues are still there, so it's
mm.
not too bad. And then
That's true.
um there's some other stuff too, that some other mysteries too that get sort of we sort of get ironed out at the end as well.
Mm. Oh, yes. I want to hear about those mysteries in a second, but I realize what you said is true. We do get the hint of like the one guy describing all of the body pieces coming back together, and that's one of the main parts of the Bloody Man. And if you happen to know that history, you might think about, okay, Cook being divided, separated, and then having to all come back again. What else
Hmm.
is ironed out?
The map. So they have
Oh,
this.
yeah.
So when they originally go, they're trying. So going back to when they're going to do this sort of communion
Mm,
for the Bloody Man, they pull out this very old. The Archbishop has this very old map that he pulls out,
mm,
but he puts his hand deliberately over the name of the creator of the map. He hides it and deliberately, like, Lime Killer sees it, and he sees that the Archbishop is doing that, and he sees a little bit of the name, but he just kind of like sees it and says, "Well, I don't exactly know what that is," so he just stores it. Um, and later on, I think there's this after the story is over. Normally, a story would end. We still get this really great sort of like afterword, or a sense, or
mm,
sort of like after action, you know, that sort of wraps up other parts of these mystery in a really great way. It really brings it home
mm,
with this map where he gets to where Lime Killer is trying to look, because the landscape in this area has changed because of the sea in various times. So what used to be one way is now a little different. And he sees this copy of the map that somebody from the governmental office has. It's not the original. And he's like, "Oh, there's these stains on here." He goes, I think they might be blood."
oh,
And it
yeah.
turns out it was like that is it has this it talks about how it has a little notation on it, the map, and that means it was um, gifted a certain way. And it talks about how the relate like it sort of gives some interesting history about how this map was sort of brought here, how this map was made, not the original one that the Archbishop had.
Mm,
And they sort of get real, and then also we find that it is Captain Cook's map. It's like one of the maps. It's a copy of one of his maps,
oh,
that they've been working off of, which is kind of awesome.
this goose is cooked. That
Yeah.
is interesting. It all comes together, the map
Right.
that he's been looking for. Virgil, I'm excited to read more of these. I thought this was stunning. Again, very memorable, the images and the ideas, and also fun to see kind of the unhistory happening again. A connection to history and kind of exploring how history is stuck with us and how it might manifest supernaturally. It's quite fun.
Right.
So I'm excited to read more Lime Killer stories. What do you recommend next? What's our next on the docket?
Well, I think the next one is the Manti Gal story, if I
Okay.
remember correctly. Well, you know what? I don't know if that's true in the collection. I don't know.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know. I don't think it is the next one in the collection, but I don't remember what the next one is. But it's just a great story. I really liked how we got this map was this sort of thing that it was also an important feature of the story, and how we end on that note with Lime looking at this map and discovering that this is Captain Cook's map. I thought that was just such
Mm.
a great, and then this guy who's just like a regular guy who works at like the office or whatever here. He works at like the governmental office. He's like, a clerk or something. He's like, oh, I think that might be blood on this map. Huh.
Oh, well.
You know? And it's just kind of like, and Mike was just like, yeah, I've seen some stuff.
Yeah, just scarred. Just like, I don't want to get into this.
This is what I just love. He's like, yeah, you think? Um, it's the next one in the collection is there beneath the silky tree and whelmed in deeper gulfs than me.
Ooh,
I
that's a
didn't
great
realize it was going to
title.
be a little bit of
Oh,
a poem. Um,
cool.
is the next one in the collection. That looks like to be a pretty long one, actually. Looks to be about
Okay.
maybe a third longer again. So that might be a
Whoa.
three. We might do, maybe we'll do that and like actually do it and fit in like thirds and stop or something. We'll see what happens.
3 parts. Rock and roll, Virgil. Whoa.
Rock and roll
Here
is
we go.
right.
Rock.
That's right. That just like just just like the Avram always said
That's
at the end of
right.
every story. He's like rock and roll Avram.
Rock and roll. That's how I'm going to start doing it. That's a great idea. That's a great idea there, Virgil. All right, Virgil, I'll see you next time for some more
I'll
Avram
see
from
you
There
next time,
Beneath
Bob.
the Silky Tree and Whelmed in Deeper Gulfs Than Me.
I'm so glad that you were able
Sweet.
to repeat that because I could not have.
I'm looking at it, so I cheated. All
Yeah,
right.
you're good.
See you soon, Virgil.
See you, Bob.